Hey everybody, Mike McClelland, Big Bite Pro, and I know there's been a ton of new people get into the industry fishing just over this past year with everything that we've been all faced with. I mean, what better way to get out and enjoy your time than fishing, catching a few fish? And one of the biggest things that guys like myself that fish all the time get caught up in is we know what we're going to rig. We know what baits we're going to fish with, but I know for a lot of you newcomers that there's things that you may not quite get and understand. But one of my favorite ways of catching them this time of the year, especially living here on Table Rock, fishing lakes, in the Ozarks, and really any clear body of water across the United States. I mean, a swim bait is a phenomenal way to catch a bass about anywhere you go. And two swim baits I love to throw is the 3.4 Finesse Swimmer and the 4.4 Finesse Swimmer, both made in about 10 colors by Big Bite. And then you also have the Big Bite Pro Swimmer that is available in sizes of 2.9 up to 4.8. So you've got a broad range. I mean, you've got a 2.8, you've got a 3.3, you've got a 3.8, and you've got a 4.8. So it allows you to throw a swim bait in really any size that you want based on the size of shad and the size of the bait that fish are feeding on. But one of the big things is being rigged up properly. I mean, if I'm going to be throwing a smaller swim bait like the Finesse versions, the 3.4, the 4.4s, things like that, I'm typically going to throw it on a 10 or 12 pound test fluorocarbon fishing line. I want a rod that, generally a 7.3 rod, something that's got a good tip so I can get a lot of casting in, a lot of distance. And swim bait heads are another big key. And for years, I made pretty much myself and Jeff Creek made all the swim bait heads we threw. And now that Big Bite has come with the two newest versions of their swimmer heads, you've got the Big Bite Swimmer Head and then the True X Swimmer Head. The True X is just a little cooler version. It's got eyeballs, a little more detail, a little fin on it. But when it comes to fishing these baits, I mean, it's one of the simplest ways of fishing. I mean, you basically throw it out, let the bait fall to the bottom sometimes, and just fish it right above the bottom or right on the bottom. Or if you know the fish are suspended, you can throw it out, let it fall to a certain depth, and just wind it back. But when it comes to rigging the baits, that may be one of the biggest keys that you want to make sure you do. The swimmer head and the True X Swimmer Head, in my mind, work really good because of the wire weed guards that they've got built in. It's not a big lead shaft, so it's not going to tear the bait up bad, but you want to make sure that the bait is rigged as straight as possible. So this is the little Big Bite Pro Swimmer. I'm going to take and I'm going to insert the point of the hook right into the center of the head of the bait, and I'm going to run that hook down into the middle of the bait until I know I've got the length of the hook covered. I'm going to come out with the bait and roll it up over the wire keeper, and then you've got a bait that is rigged perfectly straight. You can catch 8 or 10 fish sometimes before they tear that thing up. It's a great way to rig that Pro Swimmer. When it comes to the Finesse Swimmer, it's actually made a little different. That actually makes rigging it a little bit easier. When you look at the Finesse Swimmer, you can actually rig it Texas rig or open hook. It's got a hook slot in the bottom of it. So whenever you rig the Finesse Swimmer, you take that same swimmer head, go into the top of the bait, right in the middle, but rather than trying to thread it all the way on, you just go out till you come out the back side of the slot, run the keeper down, push the bait up on the swimmer head, and then it allows you to actually reinsert the hook through the bait to make sure you get that bait rigged perfectly straight. So those are my two favorite baits to throw this time of the year, the Finesse Swimmer and the Big Bite Pro Swimmer, so be sure and check them out.